The Forgotten Crypt. Chapter 1, The Whispering Ruins. The town of Eldermere was old, older than anyone could remember. At its heart stood St. Ashen's cemetery, a graveyard so ancient that many of its headstones were unreadable, eroded by time. Among the graves lay a hidden crypt, sealed for centuries. No records of its origin existed, and the elders refused to speak of it. Legends whispered of a terrible secret buried beneath the ground. No one dared to enter. Until now. David Carter, a history professor, arrived in Eldermere on a research mission. Fascinated by local legends, he was determined to uncover the truth behind the Forgotten Crypt. But some secrets should never be disturbed. Chapter 2, Unlocking the Past. David had spent days searching the graveyard, carefully brushing away layers of dirt and ivy. Finally, one evening, his hand struck something hard and cold, stone. Brushing away the moss, he uncovered a hidden entrance, an ancient door, marked with strange runes. Curiosity overpowered caution. Using his flashlight, he studied the carvings. The words were faded, but he could make out a warning. "Do not disturb the sleeping ones." His heart pounded, but he laughed nervously. "Old superstitions," he muttered. Then he pushed the stone door open. A gust of cold air hit him, a whisper of something long forgotten. And with that, David stepped inside. Chapter 3, Descent into Darkness. The air was thick with dust and decay. His flashlight flickered, illuminating ancient stone walls lined with coffins. Each one bore unfamiliar symbols, some glowing faintly in the dimness. David took out his notebook, scribbling notes. "This crypt is far older than the cemetery itself," he whispered in awe. His voice echoed unnaturally. Then, something moved. A shuffling sound, deep within the crypt. David's breath hitched. Hello? Silence. Just his imagination. Or was it? Chapter 4, The Awakening. He ventured deeper, shining his light along the coffins. At the very end of the crypt stood a massive stone sarcophagus, covered in chains. Unlike the others, it bore a name carved in jagged letters. Malthakaram. A chill ran through him. He had read the word before, in ancient texts. It meant the Cursed One. David's fingers hovered over the lid. He knew he shouldn't. But curiosity was stronger than fear. With a deep breath, he pushed it open. The chains snapped. The air grew colder. Then, a skeletal hand shot out, grasping his wrist. David screamed. Chapter 5, The Cursed One's Rise. The crypt trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. David staggered back as the lid crashed to the ground, revealing a decomposed figure, its hollow eyes glowing red. It turned its head toward him and whispered, "Free, at last." David bolted toward the exit. But coffins burst open around him. Dozens of skeletal figures, wrapped in decayed robes, their eyes burning with otherworldly fire, began to rise. They had been sealed away for centuries. Now, they were awake. Chapter 6, A Race Against Time. David sprinted through the crypt, dodging the grasping hands. The doorway was closing. He lunged forward, just as a bony hand seized his ankle. "Stay with us." He kicked free, tumbling out just as the stone door slammed shut. The whispers behind it grew fainter, fading back into the dark. David lay gasping, his heart hammering. He had barely escaped. But the runic warning echoed in his mind. "Do not disturb the sleeping ones." He had broken the seal. And something told him, the crypt wasn't done with him yet. Epilogue, The Price of Knowledge. David left Eldermere that night. But the whispers followed him. In his dreams, he saw glowing red eyes watching. The air grew colder wherever he went. And on his skin, where the skeletal hand had grabbed him, black markings began to spread. The curse had touched him. And soon, he would belong to the crypt forever. Moral of the story: some secrets should remain buried. Some doors should never be opened. And some curses never die.